Before we jump into today's episode, I want to extend an invite to you. If you're looking to add more money and more abundance into your life, then I welcome you to join me in our newest program called Manifest More Moolah. For more details, go to www.manifestationandmoney.com. It is an 8-week program designed to bring you more money and more abundance into your life. Without further ado, here is our episode for today.
Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, where we bridge the worlds of the taboo topic of money with the woo-woo world of manifestation. We're your hosts, Chris and Jenni Schultz.
We're not just about dollars and cents around here. We're all about lifestyle design. You can be working towards financial independence while still living a life you love today.
Get ready for insightful conversations with guests who have embraced the FIRE movement by achieving financial independence and retiring early, as well as entrepreneurs and individuals who defied the norm and have paved their own way to a life they love.
Together, we'll explore the powerful connection between mindset, financial freedom, and living a purposeful life. And of course, we'll be sharing our own journey to how we carved our path to a 7-figure net worth before hitting the big 4-0. Are you ready to ignite your financial future? Then let's dive right in.
Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, where your journey to financial independence and the life you love begins now.
Can you imagine getting so in tune with yourself and with manifestation that you feel like you're magnetically drawing in your biggest desires? My guest on the show today, Clemente, helps people do just that. Learning how to listen to your inner compass and being so in tune that you are magnetically drawn to a path that is aligned to you, who you actually are, and what you want. So sit back and listen to this inspiring conversation around manifestation and magnetically attracting the life that you desire.
Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, Raven.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's really an honor.
Yeah, I am excited to have you on the show today. I would love for you to share with the listeners who you are and what your story is.
Ooh, well, my name is Raven, and it was given to me at birth. Most people ask me that question, so I usually like to share that. And like in a nutshell, to be very brief, I've just had a very interesting relationship with manifesting my whole life regarding relationships all the way to selling my business. And it's been a huge passion of mine. It's something that I've loved to share. And I was a yoga studio owner for about 5 or 6 years, sold that and really dove into my relationship with the metaphysical, intuitive parts of myself and fused that with some coaching programs. A few years ago, a book sort of channeled through me. And over the last 3 years, I've been developing it, bringing it through. I worked with an architectural firm for a year, helping them implement this concept. And yeah, that's the nutshell of who I am. I'm a yogi. I'm a mother. Like we just hold so many different labels. And it's funny, you're like, what do I call you? And it's interesting because I'm changing my website from Yogi Raven to itsjustraven.com because I just feel like I've had my hands in so many pots and I talk about so many different things that relate to so many different avenues of life and living and well-being that it's just Raven. So
I love that. And I think the older we get, the more that we feel like we can just strip back things and just be ourselves. So that feels like a really refined version of just, oh, it's just me. I'm just being me.
Yeah, I mean, words can hold stature, but at the end of the day, we're all just humans having an experience trying to figure our way out and find more joy and reduce suffering.
Mm-hmm. I love that so much. So for you, you easily manifest things to the point where you're even writing a book about it. What is your personal definition of manifestation?
My personal definition of manifestation is bringing something from the non-physical into the physical 3-dimensional reality. So conceiving something, imagining something, and it forming before your very eyes.
For you, what does the manifestation process look like? Like, say if you were going to go out and be like, I want this thing, I'm going to manifest it. Do you have a specific process that you do?
Yeah, there's definitely a method. I call it the magnet mode. And there's tiny little things like manifesting a parking spot, like nearby the grocery store, or the restaurant that you're going into. And then there's things that you want to manifest, like creating a multi-million-dollar business and company. And those things require a different level of time and effort in order for it to come together. So I think a lot of times people think manifestation is a bunch of woo-woo. And to some extent it is, because it can form right before your very eyes. But there is another part of it that requires work. It requires effort. It requires you showing up in some way, shape, or form, saying to the universe, I'm ready to receive it by doing these things so I can grow to align vibrationally to match with it. I think that it depends on the thing that you're wanting to create, and then asking yourself, what are those qualities that maybe you need to align yourself with in order for you to receive that? It's funny because I tell my friends, you want a relationship, make more money. You want more money, get into a relationship. And what I mean by that is there's so many different qualities that we learn about receiving, about manifesting, about scarcity, about abundance with money, with relationships, regarding rejection, regarding abandonment. All of these things apply in terms of like business partnerships, in terms of creating trust in relationship with your clients, all the way down to romantic partnerships, to selling like my yoga studio. And I sold it like within weeks, 2 weeks before the rent doubled. And the whole storyline behind me selling it was like, it was miraculous in itself. And how this person came about finding it and the alignment with it. Like, it's very interesting when you sort of look back and see, like, how did I actually come about to meet you and cross paths with you? So there are phases, I believe, to manifesting, and you can feel them. You can feel like the initial activation of an idea, a heart whisper, a download, an intuitive thought, whatever you want to call it, come in, because it lights you up. It gets you really excited. But then you really have to ask yourself, is it something that you want to bring through and that you are like desiring to truly accomplish? Do you really feel like you have what it takes? And are you willing to do what it takes in order for you to achieve it? Are you willing, right, to feel vulnerable? Are you willing to feel weak? Are you willing to learn from lessons where things don't necessarily go the way that you had planned? And sometimes you want to go over here, but reality takes you over here so you can learn certain things so that when you get over there, you're equipped. But sometimes we don't realize that. So there's like large things that we want to manifest that come through in multiple decades. And then there are the tiny little things that you manifest in terms of like, oh, I need a bookkeeper. And then someone's like, hey, I'm a bookkeeper, like the next day. That's not a coincidence. There's co-creation happening. And what I mean by that is like nothing, you're looking for somebody to, be on your podcast for different reasons than I'm looking to be on your podcast, but it's fulfilling a need for both of us. You know what I mean? And it's beautiful and it's abundant and it's creating a beautiful co-creation as a result. We don't realize that we're manifesting every single day. Like everything that we do, I have to go to the bathroom. I'm going to physically manifest myself to go there. But we don't take that into consideration because going to the bathroom isn't hard anymore. Whereas a baby lifting our head was like the most difficult thing we could accomplish.
Fascinating. And you said something in there that I think oftentimes can derail people. They just like, you said that sometimes we wind up over here when we're intending to go over there, but in the place that we wound up is the lesson that we need to learn, or the extra piece of information we needed to get to our end goal. So many people, I think, in manifestation want the thing, and if they feel like they're being sidetracked, can just give up on the thing, when at the end of the day, the people who just keep taking the steps forward, looking back at that zigzaggy path, can go, now it all makes sense. By missing my train, I wound up meeting this person that has this contact that I need to close this deal, or whatever it is, right? Looking backwards, it's sometimes so much easier to see why the path played out the way it did, instead of the way that you intended A to B, right? Life isn't A to B, is it?
No, it's not, but yet it's linear in the same regard. And those are things that we have to learn how to dance with. And I talk about that in my book. There is, it's like organized chaos. There's organization to our reality, but then there's also, we had a set plan to get on a certain time, and yet technology made it difficult for us to be on there. So we had to adapt to the schedule that we created. And so there is this like place that it's like levers in a game once we figure out how to work with both of them and not get so irritated if something doesn't go exactly the way it's planned, right? But also not being so in the flow that you have absolutely no structure and can't accomplish any task. Like those are things also that are required for a successful business, but also to like really manifest. It's a skill, it's an art form, and you can perfect it, and then you can increase more awareness around like how life is interacting with you. And then it gets more fun. Like life gets more fun, and that's my goal. Manifesting is cool, but it's the thing that makes you excited is the most important part. I just feel like so many people are just like they feel like they're living a Groundhog Day and they're not excited. They're just alive. They're not really truly living.
Mhm. Yeah, you bring up a very, very valid point there. For somebody listening who feels like they're stuck in that Groundhog Day, whether they're at that grind of a job that they just, oh, I just have to do it for 20 more years, right? Clock in, clock out, but that's all they're doing. What do you have to say to those people on how to become magnetic and find that, put the life back in their life, I guess?
Well, the saying before enlightenment, chop wood, like bring water or whatever. Do you know what I'm talking about? Before enlightenment, chop wood, after enlightenment, chop wood. And so it's like we have so many things that we have to do all of the time. Like how many times are you going to have to fold laundry? How many times in your life are you going to have to take out the trash? You know what I'm saying? We know this, but yet there's this part of us that's like, oh, I have to do it again, right? We get irritated with it. And that irritation's usually because there's something else that we're not listening to inside of us. There's a frustration. And usually that frustration is because we want to do something else that's like bringing us joy. Now, I want to preface this with saying, I'm not saying drop everything, screw all of your responsibilities, and do only what makes you happy. But you have to understand that you only have a certain level of capacity and energy to give to things. And so if you are constantly in a stressful work environment or relationship, it takes away from your ability to be productive in like other areas of your life. And so really the question to start asking yourself simply is what brings you joy and how much of that are you actually doing to create that with yourself? Because you're never going to believe that you look thin until you believe you look thin. Someone can't say that to you. You look pretty until you believe, that you look pretty. And so that piece of how do I work, you can't buy this on Amazon. These are things that you have to act, right? Going back into that place of manifesting, you have to act upon. What are the things that get you actually excited? Who are the people, places, and things that light you up? Because we are electricity. We can tell when someone is like, I mean, as soon as we got on the call, we were like so excited because you're doing what you love, and I'm excited to share about what I love. There's just like something to be said about that, as opposed to people that are negative and depressive to be around. You can feel that. And so it's really important to identify the sensitivity around what and who, what we're eating, what we're ingesting, what we're mentally, emotionally, spiritually digesting and taking in, and how that's like affecting our energy level. And then the other thing too that applies is if somebody wants something, there's also the fear of being rejected or abandoned or denied by the system that they have set around them. So say they want to do this thing, but it intimidates their loved one or their family doesn't want them to move away. And their fear of being rejected or denied for the thing that their soul is calling them to is also a strife I feel like a lot of people experience. And they have to ask them like, which one is worth it for them to reach for?
That's a very tricky question there that you just posed. Like, how does somebody know what they should do in that situation? You've got this big goal or pull to go do something, but say it's fear of judgment. How do you balance that and say, oh, I'm going to go choose to do this, even though I know I'm kind of giving up on this?
Well, I think that kind of implies the concept of magnetism and what we call independence, codependency, interdependency. And when we have so much of our worth relying on the validation of everything else around us, if and when those things disappear, then we have no like structure within ourself to stay grounded in. So even just sort of asking yourself, who are you outside of A, B, C, D, and E? Who are you outside of being a parent? Who are you outside of being a wife or a father? Who are you outside of being a son or a daughter? You know, because these labels hold an identity that hold a belief system underneath them that you agree to be with and for that person. You truly have to ask yourself, like, because you have to live with yourself. They don't. So like, how comfortable are you? Like, can you let that go? And that's fine if you can. But if that's something that is just brewing up inside of you and causing you to be frustrated, creating toxicity in the environment in itself, via work environment, romantic partnership, whatever it is, like energy isn't destroyed, it's only transformed. And your energy, we're constantly wanting to grow, we're constantly wanting to expand. And if that gets stifled, because we're creators, we're architects, you know, you just have to ask yourself what they say, suffering is optional, pain is inevitable. So it's up to you. It's your life. You get to decide.
Yeah, very well said. There was lots of good advice in there, but ultimately it's up to you, right? And so often us little human beings, we allow everybody else's opinions and judgments to weigh in on the way we are living our life. And in there, we were talking about identity, and I would love for you to share now, because you're Raven. Who is Raven? What does Raven have coming down the pipeline in your new line of business that you're doing here?
Yeah, well, I am excited to help everyone activate their magnetism, their true inner compass, and listen to it and be guided by it so they can be what I call and consider the biggest magnet in the room by just being who they are. When we step into that reality, it completely changes the game. And I am in the process of publishing a few books regarding this magnetism called The Magnet Mode, one regarding specifically how businesses are run, and then how you actually just in general co-create and manifest in the third dimension. I have like a mathematical equation that's connected to it. It's just really powerful, a new word. It's a very different way to view things that we've been known and familiar to for very long, but just, you know, changing the angle of it to help empower you and really find joy in your life. And I've got a new Oracle deck coming out and some planners, and I'm working with clients. It's been a few years in the making. My husband just passed away, and I think that's what you were sort of referring to, on June 22nd, a little over 4 months ago. And I just became a single parent. I was in the process of getting all of this going. And so this has been four months of dealing with the transition and the loss of him in our life, of him as the father and, you know, a co-parent to my children. So I'm just here to help be an advocate for healthy grieving and transformation as well. And everyone's going through difficulty, and just because we're going through hard times, it doesn't have to be so painful. And this method, this way of looking at reality, helps you find the blessings and the joy through anything that you encounter. So you can find me at yogiraven.com, which will soon be it's just raven.com. And if you're feeling called to learn more about me or reach out and connect, please do so.
Thank you for sharing that, Raven. You are just such a light, especially for the listeners now knowing a piece of your story that would derail a lot of people. So thank you so much for showing up today. as yourself and sharing your story and giving people that piece of inspiration that they too can go after their dreams despite what they might currently be going through.
Hey, I hope that sparks something in someone and light that fire up, my friend, whoever that is. I hope that motivates you and gets that going because you deserve to be happy. We all do. So thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to the Manifestation and Money podcast. If you're looking for ways to manifest more money and more abundance in your life, I invite you to join me in the Manifest More Moolah program. It would be you, me, and a small group of other equally cool humans meeting weekly in a Zoom room, exploring different ways to manifest more money and more abundance into your life. For more details, visit www.manifestationandmoney.com. Thank you for listening to the Manifestation of Money podcast. I truly, truly appreciate all of you for listening. Cheers to creating a life you love and the income streams to support it.